Sunshine looks down on Macau and the Guia circuit and the grid as well, with all the personnel there. Umbrellas now being used to shield the drivers from the sunshine, as opposed to umbrellas for rain earlier on today. At the start of today, we had a wet circuit here at Macau. It has continued to dry out as the morning has gone on, and now we are 20 past 11 local time here in Macau, and sunshine. That's a bit more normal for Macau, and a dry track as well. Still some damp patches here and there, but a dry track looks ahead of two Lotus on the front row of the grid for the Greater Bay Area GT Cup, GT4 cars first of all, and we'll take you down the grid in a couple of moments. We get a long shot of the grid showing all the personnel that have been down there getting ready for the start of the race. We are just 9 minutes away from the start of our race, which sees two Lotus on the front row of the grid. Number 88, Adam Christodoulou, making his, we think, his first appearance at Macau in machinery, any machinery at all. Doing a great job in qualifying yesterday, doing a time of 2:30.815 around the Guia circuit here at Macau, alongside teammate number 75, Law Kai Law, who is on the outside of the front row of the grid. So you can see a very, very busy grid down there in the sunshine, getting ready for the first of two GT Cup races. One is for GT4 cars, GT3 cars will come very soon after. But David, sunshine now looks down on the circuit, which is a very, very welcome advent to the day for the first race day of a two-weekender weekend for the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Because this morning, very wet, and now getting very, very dry.
A GT4 grid is something to savour because it gives us an idea of not only what GT cars are all about around here, but an example of how GT4 as a concept is growing all the time. And if you think back, it's not that many years, relatively, that GT3 racing was added to the Macau Grand Prix. And in very quick succession, GT4 has been added as well. And the grid gets better every year. It gets more international every year. And to have Adam Christodoulou here is a big thing. To have the Lotus Emira pretty much making a GT4 debut here is an impressive thing as well.
Not a bad debut, was it, in qualifying?
No, I mean, they locked out the front row of the grid. It'll be a rolling start, so pole position for this switches sides to the inside line. Adam Christodoulou you've just seen. There is Law Kai Law lining up on the outside of the front row of the grid in number 75, and there for the inside of the second row of the grid is one of those Toyota Supras. This is the car driven by Han Li Chao. Ignore what it says about 10th position, it isn't, it's third on the grid, but that car again I think is going to be one to watch over the course of this race. And you can extend that to last year's race winner here, number 1, Liang Jia Tong. Very experienced driver as well, isn't he? So that's somebody else I think that should be in the mix. Liang Jia Tong in the BMW M4, class winner within the Lamborghini Super Trofeo in Europe. Drove in the Sepang 12 Hours this year. He's been racing in Super GT. Has raced in Europe, both in the Italian GT Championship as well as one make event. So a lot of experience in that car, as there is in number 6 BMW of Kelvin Leung.
Kelvin Leung in the purple and yellow machine, and the Songwen Racing Team colours, and great supporters of this event in Macau for many, many years. That's the car, the 99 car on the inside of row 3. The 99 car in the sunshine of Lo Ka Chun. The 778 Autosport Ginetta G55, the first of our Ginettas, and then the 39 car of Li Yen Han, the MP Racing BMW M4. Grid personnel being shuffled off the grid now. There are plenty of them. If you think that's a busy grid, you wait until you see the Formula 4 grid at the end of today, which will have all of the build-up as well to look forward to.
Just look down to the gate, all the grid girls leaving, waving vigorously to everybody in the grandstand, getting a good reception.
It's a happy place, isn't it?
It is. You don't find anybody with a sad face at Macau.
Such a happy event. Such a great motorsports event, such a great sporting event as well.
Greater Bay Area sponsoring the 2 GT races, a proud sponsor of activities at Macau. And as the grid starts to thin and you get an idea of the cars, you can see BMW and Mercedes then. So it is Adam Christodoulou on pole position with Luo Kai Luo lining up with him. Third on the grid is Han Li Chao, and Yang Jiatong will start fourth. Fifth, Kelvin Leung, and Lo Ka Chun is sixth, ahead of Li Yanhan and Terence Tse, who is eighth. Ninth on the grid, William Chung, ahead of Yang Chun Li. 11th, Brian Lai, and then Zheng Jianfeng, 77. 13th on the grid is Lau Kim Ho, and it is Kan Che Wai alongside. Kenny Chung is on the 15th rank of the grid with his Ginetta. Alongside him is Wang Wai Hong, then Miguel Lai and Patricio Wu. Next up comes Li Juan Yu and Ao Chi Wang, and that, I think, will complete the grid. There were 3 other cars, but after travails yesterday, not looking as though they're going to make the grid. In fact, there's a question mark, I would have said, also over the 18 KTM, which I just mentioned, I think, of Li Shen Yu, but that also had a couple of incidents yesterday, damaged the back. I don't think is there either. So it's a slightly depleted grid, 4 of them therefore missing after dramas of yesterday. But it's the pointy end that matters, and Adam Christodoulou it is on pole position.
Super performance yesterday for essentially a debut, and I saw on social media this week Adam Christodoulou proudly unveiling the car. I think it was the first time he'd seen it when he got to Macau, and was not surprisingly very, very impressed by what it looked like. We then got the chance to see yesterday what it was going to look like on the circuit here at Macau, and it looked nimble, it looked planted, and looked perfectly at home on the Guia circuit, didn't it? And the proof of that was front row lockouts for the Lotus on the 2 front positions for Adam and for Luo Kai Luo as well. Don't they look good in that livery? They
do. Now what fascinates me, and we touched on this yesterday, is the intra-team battle. You know, are they going to work together? Are they going to fight each other? And do they risk putting themselves in jeopardy? Each one wants to prove that they are the better. Luo Kai Luo then racing effectively on home soil, the Chinese driver, but you've got Adam Christodoulou, big reputation from Europe coming along. Luo Kai Luo's going to want to beat him. Adam Christodoulou is going to want to win this for Lotus as well. It's the only race they get. They're not double headers. It's the one shot. So are they going to work together? Are they going to fight each other? How is it going to play out within Toro Racing that operates these 2 cars? Personally, I put my money on Adam Christodoulou because he's got a wealth of experience from around the world. Whether that pans out that way, we'll find out very shortly. Of course, he's been a champion in single-seaters. He's been hugely successful in GT3 machinery in recent years. And the grid is formed, and we are set to go racing here. It'll be a rolling start, so the safety car will lead them away. And then, of course, there has to be a wait before the cars are released. Remember last year when the safety car went, and was it Edo Mortaro that went with it and was then penalised because he should have waited? So hopefully that message will have got through to the drivers as well. One of the most winning drivers here at Macau, and it was such a surprise, wasn't it, when that happened? Absolutely astonishing, really. But it shows that even the best can be tripped up, and just how focused you've got to be. It's known as Mr. Macau. Yeah. And that was, yeah, surprising. Known as Mr. Grumpy after that, I think, wasn't it? He wasn't happy, was he? No. But, you know, your bangs are right. So, you'll see the safety car set off. It just gives that a gap. It also gives the drivers a chance to accelerate away and catch up. Otherwise, if they went at the same pace of the safety car, it would be a very slow release from the grid. And sometimes with the revs, they'd get a bit bogged down. So, the green flag is shown. And now the car's ushered away. The safety car actually was quite late in moving there, but the cars get away now. Adam Christodoulou leads them around. GT4 as a concept, like I said it yesterday, has just grown and grown and grown. It was a slow burn. SRO, the architects of GT racing around the globe, stuck with it, and entries have grown. And now we've got some very impressive grids and some really good racing as well. And I'm so pleased that for the first of our GT races,
we have this dry track, because these are cars that you want to see using the car to its maximum around this circuit, to tame the car around the circuit, and that's what we're about to see. Bear in mind, we've got GT4 cars now, we've got GT3 cars coming up afterwards, so they really are the beasts that need to be contained around this circuit.
Absolutely right. One of the non-starters, Chen Chi-ho, whose Ginetta had all sorts of problems yesterday. Another one we've lost is Zhu Zhuyu's Mercedes, which I think picked up some damage. 33 of Lu Shiren, another Ginetta that had all sorts of problems yesterday, and Li Shenyu's KTM that had at least 2 incidents and had quite a bit of rear end damage yesterday. So we kept making the point about the need to keep out of trouble. Nobody listened to it yesterday. That's why in certainly a couple of races today, all bar one, yes, this is race 4, with all races have had cars missing after pre-practice and qualifying, so it's whittled away the entry a little bit.
So Adam Christodoulou will lead the field towards the Macau hairpin.
Is he going to win?
So I really like Adam, and he's a nice guy.
Yes.
A really good driver.
True.
And I'm going to say yes,
okay,
but that is a biased opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, starting at the front has to help, and the fact that he is such a accomplished driver has got to stand him in good stead. But I think the one to watch could be the BMW of Liang Jiatong, last year's winner. And those BMWs have been really good, not everywhere, because the balance performance does matter, but in European GT4 racing, the BMW M4 has been a very rapid car indeed. So with his track knowledge, he could be making a big impact here.
8 laps in prospect for GT4 cars in the Greater Bay Area GT Cup, and the 2 Lotus on the front of the field gave everybody else something to think about for today's race. Very, very impressive performance that by both of the Lotus drivers. And now it is going to be fascinating seeing the inter-team battle between the 2 cars on the front row of the grid. So pick your favourite. Not surprisingly, they are all beautifully liveried.
Yes.
Bright and colourful designs for this weekend. Some interesting concepts on livery as well in the field for this one, and hopefully as the course of the race continues we'll get a chance to have a good close look at many of these incredibly bright. You need sunglasses to look at some of these cars, but it does look fantastic, doesn't it? As the Lotus now head down towards the final few turns on the circuit to get this 8-lap race underway for GT4 cars.
So warmth being put into the Michelin tyres. Of course, much of European GT4 racing runs on Pirellis, but Michelin is the appointed tyre supplier here. And so the back of the grid scampers up towards Black Sands. They get themselves now in that Noah's Ark 2x2 formation, ready for the rolling start. The cars in a moment will emerge from the right-hander of our band. The safety car will have peeled in by then, the pace car as it is, and then we will be in business. Lamborghini Urus into the pits. It was a Lamborghini that won in GT4 last year. And Christodoulou then on pole position brings the field up towards the timing line. The lights will change, and so the Greater Bay Area GT Cup for GT4 cars is underway. Adam Christodoulou floors the throttle, but Law Kai Law on the outside line goes with him. Liang Jiatong, number 1 BMW, tries to crowd across to the inside line as well. They dive down through reservoir for the first time, and the Lotuses are still side by side, and Law Kai Law is going to have the inside line coming towards Mandarin next. On that inside line, Adam Christodoulou stands his ground on the outside, but I think he's going to drop back as Liang Jiatong goes through third, and the Lotuses are nose to tail, and it looks like Law Kai Law has gone into the lead.
Yeah, good work by Law Kai Law to get the drop on the pole position car. Adam Christodoulou on the run down towards Lisboa is on the wide line on the outside. He could be compromised there. That was within a centimetre. Goodness me.
That was Hadley Chow diving up the inside of Liang Jiatong. There was no way he was going to get the car stopped, but he managed somehow to miss the back of Adam Christodoulou's car by a gnat's whisker. Adam may be completely unaware of all of that. When he watches it back later on, he'll have kittens, because that could have been a disaster, and it missed by, look at this, millimetres. Look, there's no way that Liang Chow is going to slow the car down, and how close to disaster was that? He's way up the escape road, and he will fall to the back of the pack. So Liang Jiatong survived it all, and I bet he was waiting for the bang as well.
But you're quite right, Adam may well be completely unaware of that. He may have seen a little flash of white in the mirror at some stage, but that was so close. It couldn't have been any closer.
So
we can breathe again.
Indeed, and so also can Lord Kai Law, because he's in charge at the moment. So it was worth sitting his ground, wasn't it, on the outside, going out of reservoir to have the inside line for Mandarin. But Adam Christodoulou now will be thinking about where he might be able to make the move. Of course, the last thing that Lotus, that Toro Racing want, are for these two to trade blows and neither finish. So they've got to be respectful of each other, but equally, they desperately want to be a race winner. Second place for the team is all very good for a press release, but it's not good for your ego, it's not good for the CV. So Lord Kai Law leads Adam Christodoulou, and Liang Jiatong really struggling to get the BMW around Macau hairpin.
Well, it wasn't a good approach. I think he was a little bit too late. He got a little bit of a wiggle on the approach to the Macau hairpin, and that compromised the entry and therefore really compromised the exit. I thought it was going to be a three-point turn job.
It was looking close to scraping the wall, if nothing else, wasn't it? So in fourth place behind him, you've got the best of the Ginettas now, after that little bit of a short shuffle around at Lisboa. But the two Lotus Emiras then come up at the end of lap number 1, with Lord Kai Law leading Adam Christodoulou. So we were expecting Adam to be the race leader. He was, but only briefly, and now he's got to try and rebuild the race as they dive through the ultra-fast reservoir down towards Mandarin. Look at the gap they've pulled already over Liang Jiatong in third place. Fourth, it is the Ginetta in the hands of Lokar Chun, and Adam Christodoulou, he's on his toes. He's looking to try to make that move. So tyres up to temperature. Is he going to try to dive bomb down to Lisboa? He's in the wheel tracks. He's in the slipstream. Feints to the inside, goes back to the outside, back to the inside, but Lord Kai Law knows what's coming, fends him off.
He certainly does, he made his intentions known pretty early on the run down towards Mandarin. Just pulled out, he feinted to one side, had a look down the inside at Lisboa, but there was no way through there. But the two of them very much in a class of their own, aren't they? They've pulled away from the BMW in third place. Maybe a part of that was that slightly messy negotiation of the Macau hairpin for the BMW, but we'll see what Liang Jiatong can do about bringing down the gap. But at the moment, it's all about Lotus.
It is indeed, and I think part of the problem, you could argue, from the other teams is that because these cars are so new, nobody really knows what to do with them in terms of the balance of performance, and whether they've had a good BOP break, discuss. It's hidden by the fact, in a way, you've got two really quick drivers anyway, and Lord Kai Law just extending that margin a little bit on this lap, because although Adam Christodoulou did an absolute best sector 1, Lord Kai Law absolute best sectors 2 and 3, and the pendulum swinging advantage Lotus number 75, isn't it?
It certainly is, the race leader, Lord Kai Law and Adam Christodoulou going 2 together as 1 to the final sections of the top part of the circuit. That's the left-hander at Donna Maria, and then down towards the Macau hairpin. Adam Christodoulou noticeably to the eye, that much further back this time. Might see if we see the entry for the BMW this time, to see if it's just a handful or whether it was a unique experience last time. It was, but it's a cumbersome exit from the corner, isn't it?
It is, and that's brought Lokar Chun's Ginetta right into the mix. There was a real fight on, a genuine fight for third place now, as the two Lotus Emiras come through again as 1, and for third place, Liang Jiatong hanging on to the position, but he's got Lokar Chun and then Kelvin Leung behind him. The BMWs, you're right, they do look a handful around the hairpin, whereas these very svelte Lotus Emiras come through building the lead all the time. Fastest lap to Lord Kai Law, and he's now 0.6 of a second ahead of Adam Christodoulou, who's trying to work out where he can make a move, if at all possible.
Now, this is where he began to note his intentions last time on the run down towards Mandarin. Is he going to be close enough to do that once again? Is he going to make it slightly less show busy and just keep on the same line and then think about the move down at Lisboa? Well, he's right on the tail. He once again has a look on the outside line, but he can't. It's not close enough. Lord Kai Law turns in first to Lisboa, then the run towards San Francisco. See how the cars bounce. They do look nimble and need to handle those corners, and this is where you need the nimble qualities of a car. When the track all of a sudden gets a little bit more narrow, very much more twisty and very demanding as well.
So Adam Christodoulou again doing an absolute best in the first sector, so he's certainly brave going through that part of the circuit down to Lisboa. And Lord Kailor, who knows the circuit a little bit better, of course, is the man hanging on to the race lead at the moment. So these two cars, Lord Kailor being a pretty late addition to the entry, and he's responding in style by leading the race and trying to build that gap. In third place, Liang Jiatong is ahead of Lokar Chun, BMW from Ginetta. It is Kelvin Leung's BMW fifth, and then in sixth place now is Li Yanhan in another of the BMWs.
Lord Kailor is really good on this part of the circuit, isn't he? Through the twisty section, Adam Christodoulou drops back a little bit at this point. They come through Police and down towards Moorish. Around Moorish they go, and then into Donna Maria, the long left-hander. Advantage Lord Kailor, the race leader, car number 75. Two Lotus at the front of the field, then a gap before we've got the BMW. Let's see what this is like this time for the BMW, which is now even further back. Just comes into view now, turns into the corner. We don't see the BMW go around the hairpin because we're back with our race leaders, and Adam Christodoulou looks to be a little bit further back. You hear the tyres squeal as they make their way around the final few bends of the Guia circuit here at Macau. Lotus, what's the gap going to be? It was 0.6 of a second at the end of the previous lap. They come up to complete another lap now. Is the gap going to have extended a little bit? It looks like it has to the eye. 0.68 of a second, so still 0.6 between the two of them on the run down towards Mandarin.
So it's gone up by hundreds, hasn't it? Lord Kailor, the leader then. He's been a Porsche specialist these last couple of seasons in Carrera Cup Asia, and has done the old Porsche Super Cup race. But again, Adam Christodoulou here is really quick, and this time looks even more committed, doesn't he? So he thinks about the inside line. There's a gap, but is he brave enough to take it? He's not. If that were the last lap, he might go for it. All the time he's trying to force a mistake out of Lord Kailor, but it's not coming yet.
Adam Christodoulou is like a missile through Mandarin every time. That's when he gets the advantage. He knows that at the end of Mandarin it's the run down towards Lisboa, and that is where you set up the overtaking manoeuvre. But he's got such pace through Mandarin, and it's a very, very quick corner.
And for somebody that doesn't know Macau as well as others, he is doing a very impressive job. I mean, look, Lotuses have gone. Find me a third place car. Liang Jiatong, best of the rest, but he's in a different league. The Lotuses are like a GT4 plus, aren't they? They're so far ahead.
Yeah, just going through there.
Lokar Chun's yellow Ginetta in fourth place. Kelvin Leung's BMW fifth. So really it is between the two Lotus now to see who's going to come out on top. They are working lap 4 out of the 8, and damage look to the fourth place car. So Lokar Chun has either hit something or a bonnet pin has broken. And if the air gets underneath that, could rip it from the car. So that would be a bit of a concern. Maybe the officials will take an interest in that. And
that would result in a black and orange flag being shown and the car required to come in, because, yeah, if the bonnet gets loose, if it gets any looser than it is now, it could be a question of safety for that machine. As the leaders make their way down towards the Melco. I always say down towards the Melco hairpin. You can see it's going downhill. And they negotiate it in a very nimble style in the Lotus. Then we've got that long gap before we've got the BMW in third place that wasn't able to negotiate the Melco hairpin quite as nimbly as it would like. But it's advantage Lord Kailor, isn't it? Despite Adam Christodoulou being good at the start of the lap, the bulk of it goes the way of Lord Kailor, which is interesting given that Adam out-qualified him. But at the moment, he's struggling for an answer against number 75. And there you can see the damage. Now look, it's starting to peel back more. The faster it goes, the more air gets underneath. It's probably okay to survive, but I'm waiting to see if there's going to be a black and orange flag offered to that Ginetta. And a red flag is being shown. Red flag is shown, and that's why, because there is mayhem on the run down the hill. There's a BMW facing the wrong way. The track is blocked, and so the race is suspended. It's not stopped, it's suspended. There's a lot of fluid down there as well. You're right. So, which is the BMW that's facing the wrong way? That is Li Yanhan's car, isn't it? 39. Liu Chu-ren. Ah, yeah. Is it? Is it 30? No, Li Yanhan. Li Yanhan, yeah. Sorry. So he's the one that's presumably got it wrong, hit the barrier, put the liquid down and spun, and nobody can get past him. Not the first time we've had a circuit completely blocked by GT cars here at Macau. It's always a bit spectacular when you see the camera shot pick up the completely blocked track.
So he got it wrong coming out of Donna Maria, hits the barrier. Now he might have had a bit of help in that because there was another car close by, but then he ends up in the middle of the road and suddenly the car park forms, doesn't it?
It does. There is no way.
Boom! Oh. That was the Porsche cannoning in the Cayman of Zheng Jianfang, who just could not stop and ploughed into the back of one of the two Mercedes there.
Not really what you expect to see as you come towards the Macau hairpin.
No, at the hairpin, yes.
Yeah.
On the run down to it.
Yeah.
But that's a really odd place to... I mean, like I say, unless there was some help there that triggered the incident for Li Yanhan, but it's not the obvious place to have an incident. And there you can see the Mercedes damage as well. This might take a bit of sorting.
It may well take a little while to get things back underway. Race suspension, it's the first one we've had of the day. We've been able to deal with everything else that we were given with safety car interventions, but not so when you have a completely blocked track.
So it will be a safety car restart, because what will most likely happen is they'll be brought either to the pit lane or to the grid, and then they'll resume the race from there.
That Lotus looks so good from every angle.
Yeah, and it's not a car that we've seen of anything really thus far. It's pretty much its race debut. So lessons being learned, but you get the feeling that they would be very popular on GT4 grids next year, especially given the shape and generous BOP.
That's a lot of fluid that's gone down there, and
it's a wrecked Mercedes as well, isn't it?
It is a very poorly Mercedes. What a shame! What a big shame. And see, already they're dealing with the fluid that's gone down before they've even got the cars begin to be sorted out.
I reckon that liquid has come out of the Porsche, because we know that Porsche radiators are at the front, and if you think about the force with which Zheng Jianfang hit. So there is the BMW. Now, has the Mercedes picked up damage already by being involved in that accident? I think it has. Although 17 and 19. Here comes the Porsche. Bang, straight into the back.
Yeah.
And
a nudge into the BMW as well.
I think the two Mercedes sort of incurred damage, secondary impact, thanks to the Porsche arriving on the scene.
What a shame. And that was, quite a reasonable impact from the Porsche, wasn't it?
Yeah. So 19, William Chung's car, is the one that didn't seem that badly damaged until it all kicked off around him. Terence Say's Mercedes number 17, I think, has got going again. But the Porsche of Zheng Jianfang, that's going to have quite a bit of frontal damage, isn't it?
So this is also now for the officials a question of what order do you do this recovery in?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure there isn't a crane there. Why would you need it? It's a place where very rarely things tend to happen on the run down towards the Macau hairpin. But as far as a recovery vehicle is concerned, getting the recovery vehicle to the scene is not the work of a moment, because the course is blocked. So it's very much going to be a question of order. Maybe that's why they're dealing with the fluid first of all. So if any of the cars can wiggle their way through, if the marshals help and make a little space, they can do so, but they will be going over that area where there's all the fluid down on the track. So it's going to be a tricky recovery, this one.
It is a little bit. People watching from around the world saying, how on earth did the Toyota of Han Li Chao not hit the Lotus of Adam Christodoulou at the start?
We might see that again.
The jury's still out on that.
It was
still no idea how he missed.
Absolutely astonishing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Probably, if he doesn't know, it's best Adam doesn't, because that could have been a really big whack, and of course pretty much over his shoulder. Right, so the fans looking at themselves on the big screens and giving themselves a wave. Now, do you look at the screen or do you look at the camera? It's the age-old problem, but thumbs up, big smiles, everybody happy, everybody enjoying themselves, and first of 2 weekends of racing here at Macau, generating lots of drama and lots of happy faces, which is good to see. And
umbrellas up for the right reason.
Yeah, absolutely, to keep the sun off. Yeah, and the event as well, of course, embracing the 70th anniversary, not only in terms of the 2 weekends, but there's more Macau event merchandise than I can ever remember. Not just T-shirts and hats and the usual things, but all sorts of gifts to
And the bad news for you is you've got your credit cards.
Yes.
And this doesn't bode well, does it?
Well, you know, when in Rome, teams looking on. and the Toyota squad that operates the Supras, seeing from the pit lane the big screen. Of course, those screens for the mechanics, but also opposite the grandstands on the pit straight. So race suspension we're currently under. The race director, Eduardo Freitas, very, very quickly making the call to stop the race, but then again, there wasn't a lot of option because nobody could get through.
No choice.
No.
The race was going to stop itself.
Yeah, exactly right. So the cars will be brought round as soon as possible. Of course, even this takes a little bit of sorting out because you've got the leaders behind the traffic that couldn't get through.
Yeah.
So gridding them up for the resumption is going to take a little bit of time.
I think the whole process is going to take time, and one of the big reasons is there's at least 2 cars, I think, that are going to require a lift.
Right, here you go
Here's
again.
the moment. Here's the moment.
So deep breath. Han Li Chao, Mrs. Adam Christodoulou by...
I don't know.
I don't know what's smaller than a Nats what's it, but that was it. And then this is the reason for the stoppage, because already backwards is the BMW of Li Henyam. And it's all okay, we've stopped, we've got nowhere to go, and wait for the Cayman to arrive. Kaboom!
Oh,
that's a massive impact that knocks the Mercedes into Mercedes and into BMW, and does actually the bulk of the damage.
Do you know, I could see the incident down at Lisboa on repeat until we get the race back underway, because it is astonishing. When you look at the bodywork, I think they may have just been underneath each other. I think they may have been that close. That is stunning.
It is. Right, all cars to grid formation on the monitor leading.
Exactly that.
Yes, which I think means the cars will grid up as they are on the timing screen. But the difference here is
yes, I see.
that there's a different number of laps, because, of course, the leading 5 have done 4 laps and everybody else could only get through to do 3. So do we carry on with those cars being a lap behind, or are they allowed to unlap themselves? We shall find out.
You raise a really good question.
Do I?
Yes. I thought of that. So 5 cars would be on the lead lap.
Yeah.
Only 5 cars, yeah. Yeah. Well, in fairness, in the race so far, we only need 2 cars on the lead lap.
Well, there is that, yes.
They have very, very much been in a class of their own, haven't they?
And in fairness, 6th, 7th, 8th and 11th aren't going to restart anyway.
No, no.
Most unlikely.
No. It's quite superb. This is the first weekend of 2 weekends of racing for the Macau Grand Prix, the 70th Macau Grand Prix. And when we say this is a feel-good event, I think you can see the proof of it. It is embraced by everybody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so nice to see everybody happy and smiling in the sunshine. Could have been a different story. It was wet this morning. The only difference is we're used to rain because we come from the UK, but the rain this morning, everything was warm.
Yeah.
You weren't so worried, were you?
No, that's true.
It wasn't cold.
You've got to say as well, as we celebrate 70 years of the event, that it would have been very easy for this event to have been mothballed for the last few years, but Macau have persevered and kept the event going in difficult times with local races, but still being able to attract sponsors, still being able to put the event onto a global scale, to a global audience through live streaming, and international drivers still taking part those years, even with the difficulties that they face, but they've been able to do it.
That determination to not have a gap in the history of the Macau Grand Prix was absolutely superb. And we're all very, very happy here for the first weekend of 2 for the 70th Macau Grand Prix. This just makes me smile. Makes everyone smile.
It's great just watching people, isn't it?
How cool is this? Yeah. This is the opportunity for the cameramen to shine and to pick out the characters in the crowd. They're doing a jolly good job of it at the moment. And everybody happy to see themselves on the big screen here at Macau. We had a huge crowd yesterday, didn't we? That was only for free practice and for qualifying over the course of the afternoon. No racing yesterday, yet still the grandstands were absolutely packed. Right, how are we doing? So that's the order. Fluid first.
Yeah.
Let's deal with the fluid
that needs
first
to
of
soak
all.
up, doesn't it? Yeah.
That needs to work first of all.
Right, that is number 19 Mercedes of William Chung that is trying to be moved.
I don't know how they're doing that.
Look at the right front corner of that. That is completely ripped. And yet it didn't look that bad until it got hit by other traffic and stuff towards the BMW.
We've got a crane down here now, haven't we? Doing some things. I'm not sure Can it extend that far?
I think what they're trying to do, I think, is put dollies under the Mercedes
to get it to the crane.
and
I
roll
see.
it to the crane. Yeah. But all of that takes time. So, of course, now the road starts to clear. So 77 Ginetta can get through.
P 字大賽車咧，我諗對於澳門好多朋友嚟講咧，都係一個伴隨住我哋成長嘅一個活動嚟。我細個嘅時候咧，其實係住喺個賽車場裏邊嘅，即係夜晚黑咧，佢哋就會係喺個賽道周邊嘅一啲嘅公寓啦，咁去到維修啲車，咁啊當然成晚都唔使瞓。咁但係咧就覺得好興奮嘅，因為你每一年即係有呢一個時間係會有一個咁即係澳門有咁大型嘅活動，即係一到賽車嗰日嘅話咧，咁啊自己都會特登走上去天台嗰度咧，去到睇大賽車。
細個嗰陣時，我讀小學啦，嗰個年代咧就所有參賽車咧都係去摩羅園嗰處驗車嘅。其實離開我哋學校好近嘅啫，一有時間咧，我哋就會走去摩羅園嗰處就即係睇下，可以近接觸望到啲車，可以掂到啲車，所以就中意咗賽車嗰樣嘢。
第一次睇大賽車係2歲3歲啦，咁嗰時喺水台灣就已經覺得好刺激啦。之後每年我都有同屋企人一齊去觀看呢個比賽嘅，希望自己有朝一日可以喺呢個賽道上面進行比賽。
估唔到啦，自己有機會參與佢嘅組織啊，咁同埋亦都參與好多嘅即係周邊嘅活動啦。咁所以呢一個即係對於我自己嚟講，真係真正係伴隨住自己成長嘅一個活動咯。
我響1975年就第一次參與澳門電單車新手賽嘅賽事，好彩我第一年參賽咧就攞咗個亞軍，直至到去到1989年咧，電單車咧就連續一日就攞2次冠軍。98年咧，房車都響葡國杯嗰時就真正攞個冠軍咧。咁就即係達到我自己本身嘅目標啦。
我第一次參加格蘭披治大賽車嘅時候係13年，咁就參加呢個青少年冠軍方程式，就第一次可以喺東望洋跑道度進行啦。終於可以喺呢個賽道上面駕駛一架方程賽車，就非常之開心。
澳門嗰個東望洋賽道咧，佢唔係單止咧個車手出色咧，你就可以攞到冠軍嘅。天時地利人和運集齊晒啦，你就可以贏冠軍。佢係要嗰個整個車隊，因為嗰條賽道咧個車嘅 setting， 你想直路快咩？你上山一定唔快。你如果想響山路快咩？你下路直路咧又唔快。咁咪變咗咧，即係你好難去平衡嘅。
東望洋跑道就係一個街道嘅賽事啦，個用賽率係0嘅。咁因為你一出現錯誤啦，你就會炒車啦。咁你需要係一個好高強度嘅專注力啦。
呢一個東望洋賽道比賽咧，第一頭腦冷靜啦，第二唔好貪心。你想搏嗰半秒咧，就嗰半秒出事。我識得嘅無論係咩國籍嘅朋友都好啦，佢話去邊度鬥都唔夠嚟澳門嗰度賽一場車咁有榮幸感啊！
今年嚟到第70屆啦，咁我哋都係即係做咗好大量嘅宣傳嘅，無論係一啲國際媒體啦，或者本地嘅媒體啦，甚至周邊地區咧，我哋都會做好多嘅宣傳工作啦。
今年70屆咧，100%嘅中意賽車或者玩開車嘅人咧，都會係好興奮嘅。疫情過咗啦，今年咧都會係有好多外來嘅車手啦 ，F3 啊、Super GT 啊、FIA 嘅房車錦標賽咧，都會嚟澳門。咁啊，格電就唔使講啦。
咁今年就係非常之特別啦，70屆。咁我哋有2個禮拜嘅比賽啦。咁就會多咗好多唔同種類嘅車型啦，咁全部車手喺外國已經係好出名㗎啦，咁好大機會你喺呢度見到佢之後 F1 裏面成為咗世界冠軍嘅。
咁我相信今年嘅70屆嘅大賽車咧係會好精彩，我哋都喺度期待緊。
嚟緊嘅11月咧，我哋都會喺我哋賽車博物館嗰個立面嗰度咧係做一個嘅光雕表演嘅。咁我哋咧都希望咧大家既然嚟到澳門睇賽車就唔爭再睇埋我哋嘅博物館啦。除咗話一啲專業嘅賽車啦，或者係一啲嘅賽車嘅遊戲之外啦，咁我哋都好希望咧係同 文創方面有多啲嘅結合嘅。咁其中一樣我哋都傾咗成2年咧，先至傾到翻嚟嘅咧，同杜莎夫人蠟像館嘅一個合作，亦都係可以話咧係杜莎夫人蠟像館第一次係容許一啲佢哋製作嘅一啲嘅蠟像咧，喺佢哋自己嘅館以外嘅地方咧去到做展示嘅。賽車呢一樣嘢唔係單單係體育，其實賽車呢一樣嘢都可以延伸好多嘅可能性嘅。無論你係對賽車有認識嘅，或者係甚至係可能你比較難去到接觸賽車呢一個運動嘅朋友咧，都係有機會咧係可以係享受到賽車或者係接觸到賽車嘅文化。咁亦都希望咧能夠賽車博物館真真正正咧可以傳承到我哋呢一個賽車嘅文化嘅。
So the recovery operation continues. The cars that have been allowed off the mountain course now are back into the pit lane, and we await confirmation as to how the race resumption will be played. You can see the speedy dry now being swept, but all of the coolant out of the front of the Porsche Cayman of Zheng Jiafang being attended to. Barriers have been checked, and there seems to be a huge amount of damage to William Cheung's Team TRC Mercedes that really you wouldn't have expected when you saw the initial drama, but lots of damage there is. There are the cars then in the pit lane, and they are being put into order. But as I say, we do have this discrepancy with some having done more laps than others, the leading 5, because it was those behind the 6th place car that couldn't get through. So number 75, Lord Kai Law, the race leader. You could argue it's not going to make much difference to the race anyway, because those cars were so dominant, but it does prevent the man that's 5th or 6th, for example, from attacking anybody ahead.
In previous years on the Macau Grand Prix weekend, this would be a point at which we would take the camera crew and appear down in pit lane and maybe have a chat to a few of the drivers. And one of the great things is that there's a big screen that you can see from down in pit lane, and they can show the replays, and then the drivers can talk you through exactly what happened. That's happened in previous years. We don't have the full television director and all of his team this weekend for the first weekend. We will do next weekend. So when we have these sort of situations, we will get the chance to get a unique insight into the occurrences on circuit, just by the drivers being able to see what happened. I would love, the reason I started this sentence, to be down in the pit lane now and get Adam Christodoulou to explain from his point of view what happened on lap 1.
So yes, it will be quite revealing. That was the Mercedes, was it not, of Jason Cao. 99 Lo Ka Chun. So drivers sitting patiently, awaiting confirmation as to what goes on next. But the race was suspended about 18 minutes ago. So it's been quite a long wait.
It is. There was a 50-minute gap between a GT4 race and GT3 race, and I wonder whether that was to allow a short lunch break for the marshals, or because they know that generally when there's a GT incident on circuit, it potentially could take a little while to clear it up. That's the BMW that we've been watching around the Macau hairpin, because it hasn't looked quite as nimble as...
No, but Liang Jiatong doesn't look too displeased with life, even though he's being outpaced by the Lotus. He's still
at Macau,
keen to get going. Exactly. Miguel Lai, another Macau driver with the Audi R8, all smiles. Miguel Lai, who is currently to be found 11th in the order.
The weather forecast was that it was going to be windy, and judging by that view of the tree and looking out the commentary box as well, looking at the trees over on the far side at the paddock, it is pretty windy this afternoon, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's picked up, hasn't it? It was very still this morning when we walked in.
It's probably helped to dry the bits of damp circuit out. The temperature has risen. It's nowhere near as warm as it 2 days ago here at Macau. It was unseasonably 28, 29 degrees, really hot. Blue sky, sunshine. Yesterday, a bit more normal, a little bit cooler and a little bit overcast as well, down to sort of 25 degrees. Today, now we've got the sunshine, we've had the rain this morning, it's windy, so we are having a whole host of weather conditions thrown at us so far this weekend. 55, it's the car of Kenny Chun. You only need to see their eyes to know that they're all smiling.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
And 84 is the Wang Wai Hong MP Racing Toyota GL Supra. Again, these are cars that have got a good pedigree. You know, they've been winning in Europe, winning in the GT World Challenge Asia GT4 class, and in the French Championship. French GT is purely for GT4 cars. And Toyota's getting faster and faster all the time, and Toyota with big plans for GT3 and GT4 racing for the next few seasons. So a rather depleted field awaits with 3 more laps to run, the release from the pit lane.
3 more laps to run as it stands for the top 5 cars.
That's the KTM, the surviving KTM of Ao Chi Weng. With the bodywork, you push it up, you push it forward. Still getting in and out of those cars. Not the work of a moment, but it's quite a spectacular sight. And we had, I think, one of the cars yesterday with the bodywork flapping in the session. It was open at the spur hairpin we saw. And
I think we made the comment that could be expensive because I can't imagine that engineering comes too cheaply for a replacement. KTM have always been very cutting edge on design and engineering, haven't they? Motorcycles and now cars.
And the T in KTM, or part of the T, still races them in the GT2 series. Hubert Trunkenpolz, it was his uncle who was the Trunkenpolz in the founding company, and he still races the cars in GT2 spec. Same shape, but slightly different specification.
There aren't many race circuits in the world that have a tree at the end of pit lane, but Macau is unique, isn't it?
The race will not be resumed. All the cars to Parc Ferme, the race will not be resumed.
I did wonder.
Law Kai Law takes the race win from Adam Christodoulou, and I'm afraid with the time taken, the race is not going to be restarted. That's a real shame.
It is, but we did get some real highlights in that race. It was a great battle between, you said at the start of the race before we got it underway, it's going to be fascinating, this battle between the 2 teammates. Each one of the Lotus drivers will want to come out on top, and that was exactly what we were given, a supreme battle between the 2 Lotuses. Also, the interesting race that we had for the BMW car number 1, the winner from last year, Liang Tong, and we will have a podium. It will follow. Only 5 laps completed out of an 8-lap race, but I think, David, pretty inevitable that the race was not going to have quite enough time to resume.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a hard one, isn't it? Race control have access to far more information than we do in a situation like this. They can look at the state of the barriers, they can look at the state of the circuit, they will know the time taken in regridding and all of that, and then also the resumption of the race and how long that would take, and the need to keep the timetable on track. But it is a shame, come what may, especially when people come from, like Adam Christodoulou, you know, 12-hour plane ride away. But these things do happen. It is one of the perils of street circuit racing. So Law Kai Law is a happy man. He takes the race win, and Adam Christodoulou is his runner-up. So Adam Christodoulou, despite the fact he can't fight for the win,
he looks
still
pretty
smiling.
happy.
Yeah, he's content.
He's had a great car this weekend. He's had a great battle. He congratulates the winner and teammate, and just kind of got the impression from Adam with his social media tweets during the week that he was just really happy to be involved in this event. He'll be even happier when he sees the video of how he got away with that.
Well, yes, that could have been a huge
Maybe
incident.
That's why he's so happy.
Yeah, quite.
Just
he
had a
survived.
replay.
Yeah. So Law Kai Law the winner, and Liang Jiatong there for the Rover Motor Oil BMW team, taking 3rd place. So drivers will go to the podium, and then to the press conference. We still have, of course, another GT race to look forward to, and that's for the even faster, even more spectacular GT3 spec of car, and that will be next. Following the GT race, there will be our second TCR Asia race, and then the Macau Formula 4 race to round out the day. So 3 more races still to come, and the winning drivers will go to the podium very shortly. The GT part of the Macau programme has been a very, very popular addition over the last few seasons, with Darilo Young being the first winner of the GT Cup. Kaita Sawa won it for a couple of years, and Eduardo Mortara had 3 on the bounce, in addition to winning 2 back-to-back Formula 3 Grand Prix. Then Mauro Engel had 2 wins, then Lawrence Van Thor had a win, Eduardo Mortara again, then Augusto Farfus, and then Raffaele Marciello won the GT Cup. The last time it had the FIA World Cup badge on it, and then the 3 so-called local races in recent years, Yi Hong Lee, Darilo Young and Mauro Engel won last year's. Even though it wasn't an FIA badged race, he was still eager to come, and Mercedes eager to support the event, so Mauro Engel triumphed after a great first lap battle with Raffaele Marciello.
Looking forward to that next weekend.
Definitely.
World-class drivers competing in world-class machinery, run by world-class teams here at Macau, celebrating 70th Macau Grand Prix this weekend. Look forward to that mouth-watering lineup for next weekend, not just for GT cars but for touring cars and single-seaters as well, with the return of the FIA Formula 3 cars, which are pretty incredibly quick bits of kit around the Guia circuit here at Macau. The wind is getting up even more now, so the weather forecast was right to say it was going to be a breezy afternoon. The only cars that I think that may well affect significantly will be the light and nimble Formula 4 cars at the end of the day. They've got the longest race of any, over 12 laps for the final race, plus the big build up to the starting grid. What we're waiting for now, as you can see in beautiful sunshine here at Macau, is the podium presentation, which will come up after a shortened race for the GT4 cars in the Greater Bay Area GT Cup. Making their way over towards the Parc Ferme area to weigh in, and then make their way over towards the podium presentation, technical check area for the cars and drivers alike. And although not the most ideal finish to the race, we didn't go the full race distance. However, we got plenty of action during those 5 laps.
We most certainly did. And there's more to come when you see GT3 cars in a moment. And now Christodoulou sees it, so let me look at that again.
This is great.
Seriously?
Superb television direction, this. Absolutely brilliant to pick it up.
Can we eavesdrop?
I had no idea. Did you check the weight?
Wow.
Blimey.
He's not smiling as much
No,
now,
he's
is
not
he?
now, is he? He's just realised what that could have ensued. Blimey.
That's incredible.
Fantastic. Adam Christodoulou then sees the pictures of that first lap scare. Not scary for him, but scary for everybody else. He was completely oblivious, probably for the best.
That does answer the question. Did he know what happened? No, he did not.
Absolutely. So the drivers will go through the weight check, shout the car number, driver weighed, and that's taken in conjunction with the weight of the car. So former Formula Renault champion, star Mazda champion, Adam Christodoulou now goes to the podium. Lord Kai Law steps forward, and he is weighed. The scales release the information. And so, yes, the podium coming up in a few moments' time.
It's my highlight of the day, watching Adam Christodoulou doing what we said. Love to see his face when he sees it back. And we did. We saw it. How cool was that?
And Liang Jiatong, last year's winner of the Greater Bay Area GT Cup for GT4 cars, also making his way towards the podium around the back of the huge permanent building for the Grand Prix Corporation. There's a new media centre just to the left as you walk through that gate that sits on top of the GT garages, so it moves all the media out of the race control building, which is probably a good thing, really, because it's not the biggest of buildings, but they have their own self-contained structure these days. So it is Luo Kai-law who wins the Greater Bay Area GT4 Cup ahead of Adam Christodoulou and Liang Jiatong. Luo Ka-chun fourth ahead of Kelvin Leung, and then William Chung, despite damage, being classified in 6th place. This result, by the way, taken 3 laps. 7th, Terence Say, ahead of Lau Kim Ho, and then it was Brian Lai next from Zheng Jiafeng and Yang Chun Fei. Kan Che Wai in 12th, and Kenny Chung in 13th place, ahead of Han Li Chao and Miguel Lei. Patricia Ou 16th from Wang Wei Hong, and then Out Chi Wang in 16th place. So it's a real shame that the race had to be ended, but with the necessity to do more track maintenance and, of course, to get 3 further races in before the track has to be handed back at the end of the day to Macau motorists for them to go about their business, perhaps understandable. So we'll go to the podium in a few moments' time. The dignitaries are being assembled. The trophy girls, I can see, are being made ready also to add colour and flair to the celebrations, and the 3 drivers are on their way from the back of the paddock as well. So the podium comes shortly for the Greater Bay Area GT Cup. It is a Lotus 1-2, and perhaps we're now going to see a resurgence of the Lotus name in sports car racing, echoing what we had in the 1960s in GT-style competitions with the Elites and the Elans that followed.
And if they could do it in that colour scheme, I'd be very happy.
Or a red and gold as well. Retro Lotus liveries,
yeah,
please.
We could do that.
Yeah,
we could do that.
Bright yellow cigarette one, not quite so sure about, but
I still quite liked it.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Certainly the
with the blue.
That's true.
Works well.
That's true with the lettering. Yeah.
Yeah.
But red and gold or black and gold, definitely.
This
or
is why.
Indeed, British Racing green and yellow.
This is why it's the fluid, I think, more than anything else, isn't it?
And of course, that was something that affected the timetable last year, wasn't it? Really affected the motorbike races last year.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Significantly as well, for the return of motorcycles at Macau.
But we will have those next week. We'll have GT3 on track shortly once the pit lane opens, and as the podium lies silent, then the trophy girls come forward, and the Greater Bay Area GT Cup for GT4 cars, the podium celebration, can get underway any moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 70th Macau Grand Prix Greater Bay Area GT Cup GT4 Trophy Presentation Ceremony. First of all, let's welcome the top 3 finishers to the podium. The second runner-up, we have number 1, Liang Jiatong from China. The first runner-up, number 88, Christodoulou Adam Robert from the UK. And the winner is number 75, Luo Kai-law from China. Congratulations to our drivers. And now I would like to invite the guests to present the laurel and trophy to our top 3 winners. First of all, let's welcome Mr. Buddy Lam, Executive Vice President, Corporate Office of Galaxy Entertainment Group, to present the 3rd place laurel and trophy to Liang Jiatong from China. Congratulations. And I would like to also invite Mr. Lam to present the first runner-up laurel and trophy to Christodoulou Adam Robert. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Lam. And now I would like to invite Mr. Poon Wang Kun, President of the Sports Bureau and Coordinator of the Macau Grand Prix Organizing Committee, to present the laurel and trophy to our winner, Luo Kai-law from China. Congratulations, Would the guests please gather at the center, and to our top 3 drivers, please reach to the top of the podium. Gather to the center and take a photo together, please. Thank you. Please look to the front. Please look to the front and take a photo together. Hold up your trophy. Congratulations. Thank you, our guests. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, the Greek girls. Would drivers please remain at where you are? Thank you, Greek girls, because it's now the champagne time. Champagne is here, and our drivers would like to share the glory moment with our audience. Champagne shower time! Woo! Congratulations to our top 3 winners of Greater Bay Area GT4. Thank you. Congratulations once again to our top 3 winners.
Bring the champagne back, yeah?
我们算是把我们的经典时刻复制了一下啊。对。
In front.
Smells like a victory.
Yeah. Front.
Yeah, taste of victory.
Come to the front, guys. Front. Little bit front.
我要掉下来了怎么办？
Okay. Look at on, you good?